I'm now delighted to be joined by Glenn McCrory to give us his opinion on the top 10 pound-for-pound boxers in the world today. Glenn, I suppose it's first of all, it's important to note that when we talk about pound-for-pound boxers in the world today, we're talking about active boxers. So many people will see in the news about Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield and these guys talking about matches and coming out. Sadly, they're not on our list, or the likes of Joe Calzaghe or even the Great Ireland's.
Those guys might be in pound for pound of all time, but
yeah.
pound for pound today, no, they're not in the race.
So, Glenn, so first of all, I just want to call out a list of boxers that could be in consideration for the top 10, and then we'll start with your number 10. So I suppose when you look at this sort of list, I'll just call out the names fairly fast. We've Vasily Lomachenko, Canelo Alvarez, Naya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, Alexander Usyk, Gennady Golovkin, Juan Estrada, Artur Beterbiev, Tyson Fury, Manny Pacquiao, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Dylan White, Callum Smith, Josh Warrington, Luke Campbell, Caleb Plant, Daniel Jacobs, Sean Porter, Gervonta Davis, Keith Thurman, Shakur Stevenson, Leo Santa Cruz, Nanita Donaire, Reggie Progress, Shakir Stevenson, Mikey Garcia, and Josh Taylor. I suppose, first of all, they're the names that we've come up with, and is there anyone that we've left out, in your opinion, out of all those names, or do you think we have our angles basically covered?
I think you pretty much got them all. That was just about everybody in boxing, wasn't it? That was a healthy list. No, you know what? I mean, just when you go through that list, it just the thing that comes to mind is you've got to say what a great place boxing is in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, the circumstances that we'll find ourselves, that the world's finding itself in today is tragic. But in the world of sport, boxing, we left boxing in such a great place, and I mean, we left it with the UK having two of the heavyweight champions, holding the biggest spot. We've got the heavyweight champions of the world, with Joshua and Tyson Fury. So what a wonderful place, and the names that you mentioned, what a wonderful place boxing is in. And please God, we'll be back there soon, because I'm going mad. I'm going mad. I need to be back into boxing.
And I suppose, Glenn, before we hear your number 10, I suppose it's important to note for all our audience tuning in that just because Tyson Fury is the linear champion and the pound-for-pound heavyweight world champion, this is all boxing categories. So Tyson, although while he might hold the heavyweight belt, we'll wait and see whether he holds your number one, because there's multiple champions here in the middleweight and welterweight who have astonishing records as well and are currently undefeated as well.
Exactly.
So, Glenn, I suppose we'll start off with the number 10 spot, first one on the list. And for you, who comes to mind when you think about who deserves to be in the top 10, but just about gets in there?
Well, I think someone who I'm very excited about, he's in the light heavyweight division. He's undefeated. He's knocked every single person he's fought out. It's Artur Beterbiev.
Yep.
So he's a light heavyweight, excellent, very, very strong, tremendous trainer. And he looks like, as time goes by, he's going to make a great name for himself. And I'm sure we'll see him in the cruiserweight division as well and cleaning that up. I mean, he looks a top-class fighter. And although he's just had 15 fights, the way he's dispatched the opposition, he takes my number 10 spot.
And I suppose before we move on to number 9, Artur Beterbiev, we said, does he come from the sort of the Eastern European the sort of style of boxing that gave us the Klitschko's, that gave us Lomachenko? Is he certainly in those Ukrainian, Russian type of fighter?
Definitely. I mean, the Eastern European fighters are becoming, a real force to reckon with, as they come more and more into professional boxing. And we're going to see an awful lot of the Eastern European fighters because, they're very hard trainers, great workers, and, they've really got their heads screwed on when it comes to boxing. So we're going to see some big names, and there's some Eastern Europeans in my top 10 list.
Okay, we'll move down to number 9. I suppose 9, you can say a moving position, whether you're moving forwards or backwards. And who takes this for you, Glenn?
Well, number 9 for me, and this is just on his current form, but I mean, on his form, on his form altogether in an overall, he's going to be in the pound for pound of all time list. Never mind the top 10 list. I'm putting him where he stands today, but where he stood in the past and what he's done, multi-weight world champion. For me, number 9 comes in with Manny Pacquiao.
The Pac-Man.
The multi-weight champion who's given us so much excitement over decade after decade, beating him with some great fighters, had some fantastic wins. And, when you look at his record overall, he's got to, in times to come, he'll be ranked as one of the pound for pound best of all time, because he's just got an unbelievable record going through the weights.
And I suppose in terms of Manny, I'll pose this question to you now. Do you think maybe the supposed dream fight with Floyd Mayweather, for Manny in particular, do you think if it came maybe 2 or 3 years earlier, did it come too late for Manny, that fight?
It did, most definitely. 3 or 4 years beforehand was the ideal time. We thought it was going to happen then. Floyd, for some reason, he didn't want it. He objected to it, and it never happened. It then happened on Floyd's terms, and he won. Mayweather won. Very, very comfortable in my opinion. It was a non-fight. Mayweather just did what he does. Used his brilliance to just nullify everything that Manny had. Manny Pacquiao had. So, but judging by Manny Pacquiao overall, some of the great wins. You got to realize, it's about, I think, 6 or 7 weight divisions that he went through. So when you rank him in the lighter weights, I mean, he was just unstoppable.
Yeah, and Glenn, I suppose before we move on to 8, just one quick thing came to mind: the Keith Thurman victory for Manny Pacquiao. Many people deemed that as a big shock. Keith Thurman was probably raging hot favourite, had been undefeated. Keith was probably thought himself, maybe psychologically and mentally, that he had the fight won as well, and it sort of derailed Keith Thurman's career with injury and all. So he's going to find it very hard to bounce back. But Manny just proved again, doubt him and he'll come out tops. Doubt him and he'll come out tops.
It's amazing that he can go through the weights the way he has and keep these top class undefeated fighters. He can take them to school, and that's why. When in years to come, when you look at Manny Pacquiao's career, you got to look at what he did over the years and over the weights as one of the greatest careers of all time.
And I suppose, Glenn, we'll move on to number 8 now.
Number 8, again, an Eastern European who is making a big mark in the boxing world. He's unified the cruiserweight division, the only person to do so since Evander Holyfield, the man before I won the cruiserweight title, and that's Alexander Usyk, who dispatched Tony Bellew in fine form. He's now up at the heavyweight division. We're waiting for him to make his move amongst the big heavyweights. He's got the movement, he's got the technical ability. He could do that in the amateur, beat the big guys, and we're looking for him to do that in the pros.
About Usyk, we had a champion from the lower categories, a great fighter, and Roy Jones Jr. make the jump from middleweight to heavyweight and capture the title when he beat Ruiz. Yeah,
I was there, commentated on that fight ringside.
So, do you see similarities between Usyk and Roy Jones Jr., or do you think yourself that Usyk, does he have the same ability as Roy to go and achieve that?
Jim, does anybody have the same ability as Roy Jones? I mean, in fairness, when he was at the top of his game, he was untouchable.
Yeah.
He was absolutely just punch perfect. The man was a magician. He was an absolute superstar. And he went all the way up to heavyweight. You're talking about a middleweight, which is just phenomenal for somebody. I mean, Sugar Ray Robinson, came from welterweight and got to middleweight, and then fell short when he went to light heavyweight. The heat got to him in the terrific heat in New York. But he did what Sugar Ray Robinson, for me, the pound for pound greatest of all time. Roy Jones, he's up there with the greatest fighters of all time.
And I suppose, Glenn, we'll move on now to number 7 for yourself.
Number 7, I've got, now how do you got to pronounce this? Nayo Inu. Inu. Who's, I mean, what a puncher. What an exciting fight. 19-0, 16 KOs in the bantamweight division. Japanese, and the Japanese haven't got a massive profile in the boxing ranks, but I mean, he's come through as a real superstar and such an exciting fighter and such a terrific puncher.
And the skills about Nayu, is it maybe that's those fast hands, those endurance, the ability to get around the ring, and the flurry of punches he can get off at rapid speed? Does that make him special?
Makes him very special. And I'm looking forward, when you talk about pound for pound, it's about how guys, the great fighters don't just stay at one weight. They move, they're too good. They have to move through the weights, to find opposition that's worthy of their talent. And, he's somebody that, we'll see as he moves through the weight. But, he's so exciting and, such a great puncher. He's always going to excite fans and people are always going to want to see him. I'm looking to how he progresses. But what I'm seeing is a terrific fighter.
I suppose, Glenn, we're on now to number 6 spot for yourself. And who takes that position?
Well, this man, there's people that would argue that he could be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. I mean, he's brilliant. He's, again, a multi-weight champion. His amateur record is second to none, and that's Vasil Lomachenko. Vasil Lomachenko, who is a terrific fighter. Hasn't had a great deal of fights, but I mean, I think he's a three-weight world champion, and he's had 15 fights. I mean, it just, he fought for world title in his second fight. I mean, this is a guy who I think lost 1 of 370 amateur fights. The man is amazing. People will argue, where he's at, and he could fill any of the spaces. I mean, you just want to see his career, where he's going to go, what sort of fights. There's some big fights out there for him, and will he take them? But a great performer, and as a fighter myself, and as a student of the game and a coach, to see what he does and how he performs in the ring, his level of skill, his level of relaxation in tough, hard fights, where he just makes it look so easy. It is just out of this world, Jim.
And I suppose Lomachenko, he's systematic destruction, dare I say it, of Luke Cool Hands Fast Campbell. And for many people, the reaction, Loma going over to fight Luke in his own back garden, and perfectly the crowd, you could see the support Loma had over England and the UK. He was a sort of global sort of superstar, and it sort of took back Luke, and Luke was a predominant sort of fighter, put up his best, but no sense during the fight did you ever think that Lomachenko was in a spot of bother or a spot of trouble. No. And it just like he was go pacing himself, and when he had to step it up, he stepped it up, and Luke just wasn't able to deal with it.
And, you've got to sort of put this on a level. Luke Campbell is a terrific fighter. Luke Campbell is a Olympic champion, the Golden Boy. I mean, he's an excellent fighter. But Lomachenko can make fights like that look so comfortable, looks so within himself. That there's other gears which are frightening to think that he can do more than that. And I mean, that's not his weight. He needs to come back down. He was giving away too much size in that fight, really. But he still handled it. No disrespect to Luke. A lot of respect for Luke Campbell. And he'll come again. Yeah. But he'll come again when Lomachenko is out the way.
I suppose, Glenn, we're on to the top 5, and the 5th position for you. This is up for grabs now with Lomachenko at number 6.
Do you know what? I mean, because it's very difficult, because we've got such a exceptional amount of top quality fighters. And I'm going number 5, Errol Spence Jr., who's 26-0, 21 KOs, and a terrific talent.
I suppose, Glenn, on Errol Spence Jr., he got the better of Sean Porter. But many people want this dream fight for the last 2 years. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, everyone in boxing wants it to happen. They say everyone can't decide who would get the better of it in terms of styles. And Errol thinks it's no doubt him. Terrence thinks it's no doubt him. But they're sort of... they're sort of going on different paths at the moment, and for either of them to prove their greatness, do they need that fight?
Well, yeah, you know, the fans do, and I think life after the COVID-19, the situation that we find ourselves in at the moment, the tragedy that's going on, life will be different. Boxing will be different after this, and I think there'll be more of an urgency to make fights, to make big fights. Already we're talking about Fury Joshua taking place. What a way for sport to rebound. And I think sport needs to rebound with fabulous fights and fabulous competitions and the best of tennis, the best of golf. And I think there'll be more of an urgency for these things to happen now. And let's hope Terrence Crawford. I mean, he's yet to come in my rankings. So I'm rating him a little bit above just because what he's done. I'm rating him above Errol Spence Jr. at this time. But we'll wait and see when that fight gets made. Who will be my tip?
And Glenn, we know you're number 5 now. Is Terrence at number 4? Is he higher?
He is higher. He is higher. But I've got someone that I can't sort of forget, who's right up there in the top line. People are starting to sort of dismiss him a little bit, and that's Gennady Golovkin. And how do you just ignore him? For me, there was nothing in any of the Alvarez fights. There was nothing, and I mean, absolutely. I think my score, I think I've got in the whole 24 rounds, I've got Golovkin 1 point up overall in the 2 fights. That's how closely I scored those 2 fights. So for me, I did have Golovkin 1 point up, but the result is what it is. So Golovkin's in at number 4, but what a career he's had, what a fighter he's been, what a puncher, So Golovkin, do not count him out just yet.
And I suppose in terms of Golovkin, he is a sort of character, as we all know, Gennady Golovkin, and he has come from real humble beginnings in Kakistan, fighting on the bare streets, and he sort of resound, but he's a sort of guy that sort of is quite determined and of one-sided opinion in relation to how he gets the business done. But once he gets into that ring, he sort of goes about it as an architect, trying to dismantle a fighter round by round and just psychologically and mentally just break down his opponent.
Yeah, I love his professionalism in and out of the ring. He's matter of fact all about business, and I love his determination and his dedication, his focus. He's an absolute terrific fighter, and we've more to see for him. And I think it's still unfinished business a bit for me. I know Alvarez in Las Vegas, and he's got a tremendous following. He's the big name. After De La Hoya, he's in that part of the world. He is the superstar. But Golovkin, is right up there with him, and it'd be great to see another fight between those two.
And I suppose, Glenn, top 3 now at the number 3 spot.
Well, number 3 comes in Terrence Crawford. The guy just keeps going, just keeps winning, just keeps beating champion after champion. And we want to see him in with Errol Spence. But what a terrific career! What a terrific career he's had, and he's right up there, and top of the tree for me.
And I suppose, Glenn, in terms of defensive boxing capabilities, many people say in terms of the pound for pound rack, if you talk about a guy who's got the best defense in boxing today, people would say You want a guy who knows how to defend himself and dodge the punches. They all say Terrence Crawford is the man in that regard. He just doesn't get hit.
And you got to look at his record, 36-0. I mean, speaks for itself, doesn't it? At the level that he's been fighting, for the length of time that he's been fighting, and obviously you just want to see him keep beating the top fighters. And when you've got the likes of Pacquiao in the welterweight division, when you've got the likes, of Errol Spence in the welterweight division, you want to see that. You want to see the best fight the best, and I'm sure he'll oblige. If the money's right, the situation's right, I'm sure he'll oblige. But he takes my number 3 spot.
Just unlucky now. They call it the second is normally the best loser in many regards. No one wants to finish second. They always think that extra step. But who just didn't make the final step for you at number 2?
Do you know what? This is really tough, because I kept moving the 2 names, and I've moved them again. And so at number 2, I'm going to say Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo.
He's everybody's favorite fighter. Terrific record. He was taken to school by Floyd Mayweather, which surprised me. I know he's improved since then, but Mayweather was terrific at that. He made Juan Manuel Marquez look like he was a novice.
Yeah.
He pushes fighters around the ring when he needs to, but the rest of the time he just does what he has to do to win. The man is unbelievable, and was pound for pound the top in the world for such a long time because of that. He never excited me. I always knew there was more to him, but when he needed to, when he fought Cotto and people like that, he just took charge, and he did the same with Alvarez. But Alvarez is improving. He's getting better and better. You still realize he's still a young man, and yet he's done so much. He's had so many fights. What is it? 55 fights, 152. It's a fabulous record, which people will argue he's number 1. People will say that, and I've got to come out with an Anglo-Irish. For me, number 1 is got to, for the performances that he's put on recently, for what he's done in his career. I'm skipping the number 1 now, and why I've picked him as number 1. But he carries the hopes of Britain and Ireland with him, and that's Tyson Fury. And I've just got, what he has done is just remarkable. And I was ringside, commentating for the Deontay Wilder fight, and I thought he could win that. I thought he could win that fight, because I thought he won the first one. I thought that was politics, that he didn't get a decision in the first one, but it still looked a very tough fight when you're fighting somebody with who's knocked everybody down or out that he'd ever faced. Who only gone the distance with 2 guys, and one of them was Fury. You just thought he was in for a very tough fight. And to make that as easy as he did, to improve so much from the last fight, was just unbelievable. So you're looking at a guy that really should be undefeated. He should be undefeated in 31 fights, 21 knockouts. Who's done it, who's undisputed champion before against Klitschko, who had so many problems, but managed to come back and rise up unbelievably through the ranks, just knocking them aside like they were dominoes till he regained the heavyweight champion. Great fight with Wilder. People said it was too early to take it, then showed his greatness in the return match when he absolutely made, an almost unbeatable fighter, made him look ordinary. He made him look like a sparring partner. And I think for that, Tyson Fury, and I'm proud, to say that he's ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and for me, he's top of the tree. He's number 1, pound for pound. He's also the biggest fighter. So I guarantee he'll beat Alvarez. I guarantee he'll beat Lomachenko. I guarantee he'll beat Terrence Crawford. I guarantee he'll beat them all. He's the heavyweight champion of the world, and for me, he takes pound for pound, number 1.
I suppose, Glenn, on Tyson Fury, I suppose in terms of they talk about if he gets the Joshua fight, that'll be if he comes victorious, and
Tyson,
that'll be it.
Keep quiet, but in there. Keep the noise down.
For
Sorry.
that'll be the end. That'll be the end. And Tyson, even his father's suggesting that he should probably call it a day. But in terms of the competition for the heavyweight division, you have Dylan White just itching for those sort of fights. He's feeling everyone's ignoring him, everyone's blackguarding him. So maybe Anthony Joshua as well. In terms of Ruiz, it showed up capabilities. We saw in the rematch he jabbed his way to victory, basically. So there's questions about Joshua. Can he take that big punch? He started dodging Wilder. So if for Tyson Fury, if he wins the next 2 fights, will he step away? And for many people, that fight with Joshua, people are talking it up as the big fight for Tyson. Is it really?
For me, excuse me, Jim. For me, in boxing, at the moment, I think looking at Tyson, I know him well. He's a friend. Proud to call him a friend. I mean, I think Joshua has done great. Had a wonderful, great career. And you can't ever count him out. He's a great athlete. It all went wrong for him with Ruiz, and that happens to fighters. That happened. It got too comfortable. It got too easy. He took his eye off the ball. He didn't think Ruiz was a challenge, and he paid the penalty for that. In the return, I thought he did well. I couldn't take anything away from him in doing what he did and winning the title. And at the end of the day, it's all about winning.
Yeah.
But for me, he made Ruiz look like Rocky Marciano. He made Ruiz look better than he was, and it came out at the end, and you could tell. It was very disappointing when Ruiz was so much overweight. And, he then admitted he barely trained for the fight and he just partied and drank and all the rest of it. And it was a tough fight for Joshua. And he just, the look of fragility about him. And, the thing about Tyson Fury is it's 6'9". When you can box, when you can punch, when you can fight, when you're tricky, when you can do anything in the game, you can go southpaw, you can go orthodox and still beat fighters. He's an enigma. He is an enigma. And, you've got to say to him, yes, that people want to see who's, Joshua rightly claims some of the belts. Tyson Fury had them all, and they were taken off him. So I think we need to see that fight. What a way, we could come out of this pandemic and they're talking about it. So, please God, we come out of this pandemic and the fans get what they want and they get that fight. And wouldn't that just be a great way, for boxing to come back? And I've got to say, one thing, I'm putting my vote in now. Sports Personality of the Year, Tyson Fury is a must to get that. Is a must. He should have gotten it. He should have gotten it last time when he beat Klitschko. If he doesn't get that, I'll never watch Sports Personality of the Year again, because he should never. That is nailed on. Fury trophy, nailed on.
On that note, Glenn McCrory, a pleasure talking to you this evening to hear your top 10. And you might just, for the last 10 seconds, just call it out.
Tyson is not next door. It was my son. I'm just joking.
you might call out, so for the last 10 seconds, just call it out 10-1 again for us. Just a quick
10-1. Number 10, Artur Beterbiev. 9, Manny Pacquiao. 8, Alexander Usyk. I've got to try to learn. I've got to get my commentary back. Now Inu, Vasyl Lomachenko, Errol Spence Jr. at 5, Gennady Golovkin at 4, Terrence Crawford at 3, Canelo Alvarez at number 1, and number 2, and at number 1, the one and only. We all love him, Tyson Fury.
On that note, Glenn McCrory, an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening to hear your top 10 pound-for-pound boxers in the world. And hopefully when everything gets back to normal, we can have a discussion about a real proper boxing fight that takes place. But for the moment, Glenn, a pleasure as always, and hopefully we'll speak again in the near future.
God bless you.